Am I on? I think I'm on. I hope I'm on. Timer's clicking, so let's go. What's up, CS fam? Aaron Thompson, super excited to get to hang out with you all today. Thank you to Client Success for the opportunity, and thank you all for hanging out with me for the next 54 minutes and 37 seconds now. As Mark talked about, I'm going to take you through outcome-based selling. This is a 2-day boot camp when we do the whole shebang. So I'll do my best to boil it down to just under an hour and see if we can't get everybody back on track here time-wise. I love the late night talk show setup, by the way, Client Success. I wish I could be there, but alas, here I am, a sport coat at home, even red pants today at home, but still, yes, barefoot and bunny slippers and whatnot, but I digress. Outcome-based selling, otherwise known as OBS. The whole point here is how to sell what something does, not what it is. And when we do this from the CSM perspective, as opposed to an account manager, and I'll kind of talk about what that means, the difference therein, we want to remain that trusted advisor. So how can we grow accounts through customer-centric, outcome-aligned initiatives? So a little bit about us before I get into the content. We are Success Hacker, also known as Success Coaching. We were founded by those two knuckleheads above me there, Andrew and Todd, based out of Silicon Valley. We originally set out to create a community of customer success professionals and found real quickly there wasn't a whole lot of best practices in standardization in the industry. And so we created the world's first certification in customer success management. We now have multiple levels. We do live events virtually, as well as back in the day, I used to fly around and get to do it in person as well. And someday that'll happen. I actually got my first COVID shot yesterday. So fingers crossed in 4 weeks when I get my second one, it doesn't flatten me out for 3 days. But so we do everything in customer success, from recruiting to consulting to certifications and training. And myself, I've been the head of customer success a few times. I had a support career about 15, I'm going 20 years now, I'm aging myself, in support before I found customer success. And when I like to say this, when I found customer success, I really found a home. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do next in my career. And then I became the head of customer success at a small company here in Portland. And a year later, after implementing my own customer success strategy, I had taken a 40% churn rate down to 8%. And I was kind of that player coach. And so what I actually did was I went out and I founded my first company, Portland Customer Success. And I was doing some sort of solo consulting and strategy. I also founded a company called RevDev, or I was a co-founder of it. RevDev stands for Revenue Development, and that's what I'm going to teach you today. RevDev does not exist, but I partnered with a sales expert and a marketing expert to develop a revenue growth strategy that starts in marketing, goes through the funnel, and ends there at the bottom of the funnel with us in customer success. And we created playbooks from soup to nuts on how to develop revenue, generate revenue from the start to the finish with your customer's life cycle. So that company no longer exists, but the intellectual property still does. And that's what I'm going to walk you through today. I'm passionate about helping people get into and thrive within the customer success industry. It has, not overstating it, changed my life. Finding this industry, finding the people that are attracted to this industry has changed my life. So I am here to help. Please find me on LinkedIn. There's my URL there at the bottom, and let's connect. If you have any questions about what I talk about or anything else afterwards, I love to just wrap all things CS and help people be successful in this industry. Now, that's my professional life, but it's certainly not my whole life. This is kind of the other side of it. That's my now fiance and I there in the upper left-hand corner, visiting Rudolph a few years ago at one of the only active reindeer farms in America. That's my son, Henry. He is 10 going on 21. A few years ago, we went and bet on the Kentucky Derby. That's us there with the ties on. And of course, he brings his allowance. I'm like, grab your allowance, bud. Let's go to the track. I'm going to teach you how to bet on horses, doing the mint juleps and the big hats and all that stuff. And of course, he gives me $6. He bets on a horse. I put it on that horse, and that horse wins. And now I give him $9 back, and he thinks This is great, Dad. So I'm pretty sure we'll have a bridge to cross later in his life, maybe around gambling and the dangers therein. Skiing, baseball games. Our dog Simba, he is a 7-year-old boxer border collie mix. And I wish I could say he was quite that svelte as he is there in the bottom left-hand corner, but quarantine 15 is legit. It's hit our whole family a little bit. But I introduce you to both my professional and my personal side of my life, because that's what your customers are. They are holistic humans. And when we look at outcomes and how we can make people's lives better in terms of delivering what they want something to do or what they want out of working with you and your organization, it transcends your business value proposition and use case. It's all about the people. And that's what customer success is all about, the humans and making their lives better. So when I talk about outcomes, outcome-based selling, don't just be thinking about ROI, for example. If you can save someone time on the professional side, so they get home on the personal side, and they get to see their Henry before he goes to bed, you've now profoundly impacted their life in a positive way that didn't necessarily result in a return on investment or value proposition. So transcend the value prop and the business use cases. Think about your customer as a holistic person as I walk you through this in the next 48 minutes and 29 seconds. Also, I better, before I get too far along, point out our logo, because a lot of people wonder what's up with the donkey. That, my friends, is a unicorn. And that's what we aim to do, is make our customers that magical unicorn who has the domain experience and the product expertise, as well as the customer success best practices. And so you are that perfect sort of hire as a CSM. And we believe we're all unicorns as long as we get the right tools. And I'm going to give you a couple of tools here today. So before we wrap up, stick around. I'm going to put some stuff in. I don't know if I have chat on this webinar version or not, but we'll figure it out. And I'm going to get you some materials for free that are right in line with what I'm going to walk you through. So one of the 3 things I want to cover in the next now 47 minutes, define what outcome-based selling is. What is it and what isn't it? We'll talk about how to develop and then validate that these outcomes are realistic. And then finally, I'll talk about why this is a vital skill in today's subscription economy, where we get a little bit of revenue over time instead of a whole bunch of revenue up front. Profoundly changes how business works. And it all starts with us at that CSM level, that post-sale relationship manager, whether you're a client success manager, customer success manager, or even account manager. So let me talk about the difference of those two. Account management's been around for a long time, and that's typically the farmer in the hunter-farmer model. And that's a great way to grow accounts and grow business, but it's not customer success management. Account managers' allegiance lies with the account and growing the account. And if I have a quota, a number that I have to hit, I have some carte blanche to go above and around and through the people or person in some cases that I'm working with in order to grow that account. And that's a great job. It's typically a sales function. If I hit my number, I get a bonus. And if I miss it, I might get fired or get in trouble or something like that, right? That's the job. A customer success manager's allegiance lies with the human and making that person's life better. And then that can lead to account growth. It may lead to account growth. And I'll show you a few ways that that can happen. But our allegiance is with the person and making that person's life better. We don't have typically a quota or a number that we're expected to hit. And that's because our job is to deliver outcomes and definitions of success. Now, when we do expand accounts, we may get some variable compensation like a spiff, but I shouldn't have a number that I am expected to hit. If that's what I have, it's more of an account management function where I can go around people and do what I need to grow that account because that's my job, as opposed to my job is to make your life better and build, maintain, and deepen my relationships with those holistic, remember, humans. And so think of that and keep that in mind. But when I talk about OBS, it's not a new concept, this whole thing about outcomes. So this is from Inc. magazine, June 2015. Don't sell drills, sell holes. With product life nearing infinity, you better be selling solutions rather than things. In other words, don't sell what something is, sell what something does. And that's solution selling, and it's outcome-based selling as well. The difference about what I'm going to show you is how you do it from that CSM perspective as opposed to the account manager. So bear with me a second. We're going to bring in the old whiteboard here, kids, and get into some bit more old school. I'm getting up there in age. I'm turning what am I turning? 43 this year. And so I like the old school technology. So let's talk about this. When we talk about product life nearing infinity, what you're looking at here is a land and expand sales funnel. You'll see this type of thing iterated throughout business books as well as articles, and you can just Google about it. And what I'm going to talk about is the Rev Dev strategy that we built. So up at the top, you've got demand generation and awareness. That red up there is your marketing team. They're taking everything they can do to help people know you exist. And so this is SEO, pay-per-click, blogs, webinars, speaking at events like this. For us, for example, this is a demand generation and awareness exercise. So now you know about this company with the donkey logo and this dude that was wearing these red pants and a sport coat for some reason at his house, right? So there's your marketing engine, letting people know that you even exist. So they start up at the top with a whole bunch of people, and some of them find out about you. Not everybody. It's not 100%. That's why it gets smaller. And then, so that's the awareness stage. The people actually find out you exist. Then from there, some of those are going to download the ebook, attend the webinar, download the demo, sign up for the free trial, whatever they do to, quote, get in your sales funnel, okay? Those are the ones that move into evaluation. They're evaluating you against your competition, and you need to be evaluating them against your ideal customer profile, which is right up there. When you typically build an ICP, you have your dead center of the fairway perfect fit customer. Then you've got your 3 that is your stretch fit customer, and you've got some customers kind of in between. And so when they're in this stage evaluating us against our competition, we want to be evaluating them against what we understand of the ICP. And I'll talk about how we know what a perfect fit versus a stretch fit customer is in a second, but I think you've probably all experienced that squeaky fit or squeaky bad fit customer that takes all your time but doesn't pay us very much money. That would be a 3, and I'll talk about what that does to your intelligent service model in a second. But regardless, some of the prospects will evaluate you, and then some of those, a subset, will decide to become a customer. So you market to a whole bunch of people up top. Some find out about you, some don't. Of the ones who find out about you, some decide to evaluate you, some don't. Of the ones who evaluate you, some decide to become a customer, some don't. That's why it's, wide at the top and it's a funnel. Then you got your customer set. And then down here at the bottom is typically what we think of as customer success or post-sale, back of the house, bottom of the funnel. You'll hear all these terms. And kind of all we really do in CS post-sale in the subscription economy. It's very different in the product era where we sold physical products. Now that we afford the opportunity to our customers to achieve their desired outcome as a service, it looks a lot like this. We activate them, getting them onboarded, tracking time to value or TTV, and we want to do that in as frictionless an experience as possible. We optimize them. That's when they get their legs under them. They know when they're going to meet with you. You're doing your weekly tactical calls and your quarterly business reviews or whatever you do, right? And you're getting and they know who to go to and when and why. They know how to use the product. They're realizing value. They're telling you even that they have realized value from what you're providing, and they got their legs under it. They know how to use the product. They understand what bells and switches and things to do, etc. And they're realizing some, not all, some compelling business value. That will lead to a renewal if we are diligent about delivering. Or let me talk about the 3 Ds of customer success. It all comes down to this, CS fam. You're going to define, you're going to deliver, and you're going to demonstrate what success is. So first off, we're going to define it in this format. The customer's definition of success equals the customer's desired outcome, and I'm going to talk a lot about those in the next 39 minutes, plus the customer's desired experience. Meaning for every holistic human, every person I work with, I'm not talking about accounts. I'm not talking about logos. Businesses don't buy things and make decisions. People do. And we make business decisions based on personal preference every day. And so when we are the vendor, the first D of define what success is, luckily for me and my little chicken brain, it comes down to just that, CO plus CX. If I can deliver the same or better outcome with the same or better experience than my competition, I will have delivered a higher volume of success. So we define what success looks like, and we then deliver that definition. Then we use our business reviews, et cetera, to demonstrate that delivery. So there's your 3 Ds. When we do that, it will lead to renewal. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Because if I know I'm getting the value that I came for, and we work together to define what it is, deliver it, and then demonstrate it, it will lead to renewal. And so then from there, we want to expand the accounts. And that's where the bottom of the funnel gets a little bigger. So when I talk about expansion, think of it as the same, whoops, can't quite see that. We got sun in Portland, Oregon, and I guess it's April. We should occasionally here. The same people buying more, using more, doing more, paying more, okay? That's expansion. We also have advocates. If I can make your life so much better and enable you to tell your story of how your life was before me, then what it was like working and what it is like working with me, and then how great your life is now with me, that will create an advocate. That advocate, when they go to their conferences, when they go to their meetups, when they go talk to their friends and family and colleagues, and they say, you know what, they've got a funny logo, but I love that Success Hacker company because they've really helped us XYZ, that then generates a CSQL, a customer success qualified lead. We've got marketing qualified leads up here. We've had them for a long time, MQLs. We've had SQLs for a really long time. Now we're generating CSQLs, customer success qualified leads, net new leads that are generated from our current customer asset outwards. And notice it shortcuts the funnel. So we don't have to continue to market to, in fact, to this new lead, we didn't have to market to them. They found out about us basically by word of mouth. That lead amazingly costs 1/13 the customer acquisition cost. 1/13 the price for us to acquire a customer this way rather than that way. That's because we have to market to so many people, and it's such a one-to-many game, and it's just a numbers game up at the top of the funnel. So when we do this effectively and we enable our customers correctly, they can generate us net new revenue by way of the CSQL that's much less expensive. Then also, finally, way up there, we want to be partnering with our marketing team to refine the target of who we actually market to in terms of, whoops, over here, an ICP. And now we're more efficient with our top of funnel spend. We are generating net new leads that have a higher conversion rate and faster deal times. We're retaining the revenue we're given, and then we're growing that revenue by way of expansion. Those are the different types of revenue streams that I'm talking about when we talk about outcome-based selling. Now think about as a service products. It never breaks. If I sell you something that'll wear out, so I market to you and you buy my product and then it wears out, that'll put you back into the market to look for a replacement. In a service model, it never does. Think about watching a movie at home. Back in the day before Netflix, the only way to achieve the desired outcome of watching a movie at home was by way of a physical DVD. a piece of plastic that would break and scratch. That would then drive me back into the market to find a replacement. Now with streaming services, same outcome, watch a movie at home, way better experience. I can click a button instead of going to, by the way, the one last Blockbuster in the world is here about 3 hours away. I was just down there this past weekend. I don't have time to get into it. So outcome, watch a movie at home. Experience, click a button versus having a physical DVD. Let's be honest, CS fam, we never cared about the DVD. The little piece of plastic we didn't care about. What we cared about was what it did. It allowed us to watch a movie at home, not what it was. Our customers are exactly the same. They care about what our products do and the outcomes that they achieve therein, not what they are. Okay. And so when you think about this article from 2015 in Inc. magazine, when it talks about product life nearing infinity, that's the world we live in SaaS and the subscription economy, because it never wears out. And so that makes this even more important for us, not only to deliver, but also sell and market what things do, not what things are. So when I went to build this years ago, I started at just the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition of the word outcome, and I was blown away by the simplistic nature of it. An outcome is simply the way a thing turns out or a consequence. Okay, so think of it that way, that basic, the way a thing turns out. Okay, it literally says that in the dictionary. Couldn't believe it. So when we look at that relative to our customers' definition of success, and if we can agree that what our customers care the most about is achieving their desired outcome, which we can see this play out in all sorts of things, Netflix and DVDs, sure, Uber and taxis, same exact outcome, better experience, decimates the industry. If we can deliver that outcome, that's what we care about, first and foremost as customers. Then we want to circle all of what we do around that outcome. In fact, we want to market and sell outcomes, not things. So let's take that definition and now use it to define outcome-based selling. OBS is very simply selling the way the thing will turn out. Otherwise, selling the consequence, okay? So we're not going to talk about products, features, and functions and bells and whistles. We're going to talk about what they care about, what it will do for them, time savings or whatever the case may be. And again, it transcends our value proposition and our business. So step one with OBS is identifying and developing outcomes. That's the first step. We have to actually build the outcome with the customer, or actually with the prospect. And I'll show you kind of where this lives in terms of the customer life cycle here in a second. So we do this by way of the first tool, that this is one of the ones that you'll get for free here, is the 3 Whys canvas. In other words, for us to develop an outcome that we can then sell, we must be able to answer these 3 questions. Why us, first and foremost? Us, the business, us, the people. What is it about our skill set collectively that allows us to deliver this outcome? So outcomes, by the way, come down to 2 things. You've got pains that you're going to relieve, and you've got gains that you're going to achieve. That's it. Relieve a pain point for me, you've delivered an outcome. Achieve a gain point, so save me time or money, you've delivered an outcome. Do it in a better experience than your competition, and you've got me as a customer for life. So what are these pains and gains that we're going to deliver? And why are we uniquely positioned to do so? Then why this? What is it about our thing, our product, our solution, our service, whatever it is that we sell? What is unique about it to deliver that, or to, I should say, relieve that pain or achieve that gain? And then finally, why now? Anyone who's ever sold anything knows that no decision is the worst thing that can happen and the most common closed lost reason. They just go dark, they disappear, we don't know. And the reason that happens is because when they were evaluating you, they don't have any pressing need to buy. And if they don't have a pressing need to buy, they're not going to just start paying you money for fun. They don't care about your products and services and what they are. They care about what your products and services do for them, the pain it relieves and the gain it achieves. And so there's got to be a pressing need to buy. And one good question to ask a prospect is, what if you make no decision? What will happen in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months if you don't buy anything? Well, my pain's going to be worse or my gain or whatever, right? And now you start to uncover a pressing need just because or just to, like, alleviate the no decision. So here's what the 3 whys look like. And like I said, I'm going to give this to you. If I can do chat, which I don't see it, so we'll figure out how to get this to everybody. But I've got it electronically in a PDF, in an editable PDF format. Also have it online on G Drive, and you can download it there. So the first question we're going to answer, why us? And then why this? And then why now? And where we're going to do this relative to the customer life cycle. So again, we've got SEO and all the pay-per-click and all the marketing up top, sales in the middle, CS, everything down here below. We cannot deliver outcomes. We cannot only do the third D. Remember the 3 Ds: define, deliver, and demonstrate, right? We have to define what the outcome is before we actually bring that customer on, when there's still a prospect. So where we use the 3 whys is up here. When they're evaluating us against our competition, we are evaluating them against our ICP, and we are right sizing what it looks like. So the first step, outcome development. And when we do this and we go through these 3 whys and we can answer these questions effectively, my gosh, we might now have an outcome that we can sell. We haven't validated it and we haven't right-sized it for what it means to our intelligent service model. So for example, when I was earlier in my career, I was at a company called Jive Software. And when I was there, we brought on T-Mobile. And T-Mobile wanted to use us for a stretch fit use case. They were a 3. Jive was basically Slack before Slack. It was a collaboration space. And T-Mobile wanted to use us as a knowledge management system. And so they were a huge opportunity for us. So they're right here evaluating us against our competition. We don't want to tell them, no, we don't do that. But we also wanted to be realistic about, that's an ICP 3. This is not what it is intended to do. And by doing this and then right-sizing the contract, like I'll show you in a second, over time, it allowed us actually to make that an ICP 1. We were able to make product enhancements to cater to T-Mobile's use case that then allowed us to sell into other telecom. It created a whole new total addressable market that we had never explored before because we right-sized the contract. So what that looks like in terms of an intelligent service model, and what I did at Fortel when I came in as the head of CS for the first time, segmentation. You've got high touch, low touch, tech touch. When I came in at Fortel, there was way too many accounts for me to make heads and tails of. And so I knew I needed to be smart with my time. I could not treat them all the same. And so I just did a bell curve, and that's what that line represents. 20% bell curve, right? 20% are going to be high touch, 20% are going to be tech touch, and then I'm going to have 60% there in the middle with kind of a hybrid model, okay? And so this could be high touch, low touch, tech touch. This could be tier 1, 2, 3. For us at Jive, it was platinum support, gold support, and silver support. So when T-Mobile was right here evaluating us at about 75 to 90% probability to close, we were evaluating them. And what we were able to sell them was, again, we're not going to tell them no, but we also must right-size the contract so that we offset our overhead. Because what we couldn't allow to happen was a low-paying customer By the way, you segment across revenue, vertical, and strategic importance. Okay, those three things go into determining high, low, and tech. Because I might have someone who pays me really low money, but they're a really big logo, right? So they're strategically important. So we're going to treat them high touch, even though they're paying us tech touch revenue. It's not always just about the money. Same thing if I'm trying to break into a certain vertical, I might move someone up. With T-Mobile, what we did was we sold them a platinum support offering that right-sized our contract so that our overhead was in line with the amount of effort we knew it was going to take for us to account for that ICP3. So when they are up here evaluating us, we must be evaluating them and not only developing outcomes and talking in those terms of what it's going to do, not what it is, but also right-sizing the contract through things like premium support, additional training, professional services, whatever the case may be that we know it's going to take for us to make them successful, so that we don't end up with a low-paying, bad fit customer who takes all of our time. So OBS isn't just about being just about what's good for the customer or the prospect. It's equally what's good for us. It allows us, before they get to the post-sale side of the business, to right-size it so that we don't end up spending all of our time with those squeaky, bad fit customers. When we do this and we develop an outcome, then we can move into step 2. So step 1, outcome development, is complete. We've now developed the outcome because we can answer those 3 questions and we know what it's going to do, not just what it is. Now we need to validate that it's something that's reasonable for us to deliver. In other words, for T-Mobile, that was going to be a stretch. It wasn't something we couldn't do. It was just something we knew there was going to take more overhead to our business. And so we needed to bill that back to the client in order to make them successful. So when we talk about delivering their desired outcome, it's not just about what the product or service can do. It's about what it'll realistically take for us from a customer experience perspective. And in that Jive T-Mobile example, it was going to take a lot of work. And so we needed to right-size that, and luckily we were able to do so. But you got to do that before they're a customer. We can't let it get to post-sale, and then we have to be the hero and try to make them successful, and they're taking all of our time, but there's no capital, no money, no revenue associated with that additional time it takes. So outcome-based selling comes down to 2 words. It is quantifiable. If I'm going to sell an outcome, I need to be able to quantify that outcome. If you want an ROI, I need to know by how many dollars in what period of time. And if you want time savings, well, now I need to know how long you spend on that today before I'm in your world. So when we're up here, we're talking about what your life is like today. How much time do you spend in spreadsheets doing the thing that we solve the pain point for? And so we can baseline it. We can then, again, define, deliver, and then demonstrate what that delivery looked like, right? Here's what the ultimate time savings was. And so it's got to be quantifiable. We cannot sell outcomes we can't quantify. And it also must be achievable. It has to be realistic. We can't sell an outcome that will take all of our time, right? If we have other clients that we have to work with, for example. And so it's got to be quantifiable and achievable. And so you can think of that as Q&A. And so the first question is, how do we determine, is this quantifiable? Is it something we can actually quantify? For that, we developed the 3M framework. To determine that an outcome is quantifiable and validate that it's something we can actually quantify, we must outline at a tactical level what unit of measurement will we use when we quantify the qualitative. I often say that. In customer success, we're always trying to quantify the qualitative, right? Gut check happiness stuff. We need that to be hard numbers that drives actionable insights so we know what to work on next, okay? And so we're constantly trying to quantify the qualitative. And the first way to do that is decide what unit of measurement you're going to use. that unit economics that you hear all over the business world today. Next up, monitor. What is the system that we're going to use to monitor? We might be able to measure it, but if we can't monitor our progress towards the delivery of it, well, then we're not going to be able to demonstrate it as part of that third D of customer success. And then finally, manage. At a tactical level, what are we going to do to manage the sale, delivery, and then ultimately the renewal of the said outcome? So to do this, we've got another tool. This one I'm not going to be able to give you today, but you can take a peek at it, and you could build something on your own that's very similar, or you can come to an OBS workshop. We can go in the weeds about it, and it's included in that. So I wanted to call this the Q&A canvas, but as you can imagine, that would have been confusing as all get out, questions and answers, etc. So it's called the A and Q canvas, just so it doesn't sound like questions and answers. So where we start for this is at the bottom. And these three, the 3 M's, outline that quantifiable question. What unit of measurement are we going to use? What method are we going to use to monitor that? And then what tactical steps will we take in order to manage towards that? And then it's just a matter of outlining SMART logic. Most of us are familiar with SMART goals by this point. And what makes this outcome specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and then time boxed. And so we apply the SMART logic as well as the 3 M's. And from that point, we can say, yes, we have validated this outcome. And so let me go back to the definition of outcome-based selling. It's selling the way the thing will turn out. It's selling the consequence. But that's not good enough. It's not good enough just to sell that. We must be able to definitively prove it. If we cannot prove the delivery of the outcome, we cannot sell the outcome. And again, when we do this is pre-sale. This is not a post-sale activity. It is when we're talking about expansion, same people using more, doing more, etc. But when we have a net new customer who's evaluating us, and they're about 75 to 90% probability to close, that's when we, customer success, the organization, engage with the customer and start developing the outcome and then validating the outcome so that we know that when we're closing that deal and selling that outcome, it's one that we can deliver and we can prove. And so outcome-based selling is not what we've seen in other areas, product features and functions. It's not bells and whistles of how cool your things are. Your customers don't care. They care what it does for them, not what it is. It's not gut feel. It's not qualitative. It's not happiness scores. By the way, happy customers leave all the time. Happiness means I like you. You give me a good customer experience. But if I don't achieve the outcome, I'm not going to stick around. Happy customers leave all the time because they did not receive their desired outcome, their definition of success. Also, angry, detracting customers stay all the time. For me, I can't stand my telecom provider. They have horrible customer experience, horrible customer service, but they're the only way for me to have Wi-Fi where I currently live. They're the fastest thing in town. And when I'm doing stuff like this all day, I need to have really good Wi-Fi. Well, I'm getting the outcome of fast enough internet speed, but I get it in a poor experience. If there was another option in town, I would jump ship immediately, but I'm kind of hamstrung here. So angry customers, detracting customers, they stay all the time because you're the only way to achieve the outcome. And happy customers leave all the time because they are not achieving their outcome. That's what I mean by ultimately, first and foremost, what the customers care about is did they achieve their desired outcome? That's why happiness scores are great on the CX side, but they don't really tell us anything on the full formula because it's also about the CO. And then finally, the last piece of this, it's got to be something we can achieve. We can't sell a desired outcome that we can't deliver upon. Otherwise, we're going to fail in that definition on that second D. And then when we go to demonstrate that delivery, well, we can't demonstrate that you've achieved your definition of success. And if I were you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, I wouldn't keep paying that donkey company either. So keep that in mind. All right, so here we go. So there's the end of step 2, outcome validation. So number 1, outcome development. Ooh, almost forgot it. Number 2, outcome validation. All right, so why is this important for customer success? Oh, by the way, folks, customer success is not just this part of this funnel. We think of it that way. Organizationally, maybe we live here, but customer success is everything. Customer success is marketing and selling and product. It starts, by the way, in the product. Customer success is a culture. It's a business growth strategy that is based on this definition and was born in the as a service industry. So when I talk about customer success, I'm talking about the culture and strategy, not just the job function. We may live down here, but we need to be operating up there. As an industry, I've been challenging us for 2 years. Get out of the bottom of the funnel. Start working pre-sale with our customers, because we're ultimately responsible for that renewal number, generally speaking, yet the customer's journey doesn't start here. It starts up here. How did they find out about you, and what was that process like? Then the whole evaluation and sales cycle, that impacts their desire to stay and leave and be successful, and all of the personal business decisions based on personal preference. That all starts at the top of the funnel. So customer success starts in, and again, in the product. Even when we look at writing that first line of code, we want to be outcome thought. We want to be thinking about what it's going to do, not what it's going to be. All right. So where does OBS live in the customer life cycle? There it is again, up at the top. SEO, pay-per-click, marketing, outbound, inbound, content, webinars, blog posts, phone calls, newspaper articles, flyers, PR, all of that stuff exists up there so that people find out you exist. Then we move into the sales process, and all this is just shepherding the evaluation and decision-making process. And it can look really, really different from organization to organization, but every customer at every company has to go through an evaluation process. It might be in the product as a free trial, or it might be whining and dining and playing golf and all the stuff on a big enterprise deal. Whatever it is, they are evaluating us, and we need to be evaluating them. Then we have our typically thought of as customer success, post-sale, activate, optimize, renew, limited time to value, realizing value. The renewal should be a byproduct of their customer life cycle and their relationship with us, as long as we have demonstrated and are delivered and demonstrated that they achieved their definition of success. That will lead to a renewal. And that was where we originally started in terms of revenue. When I came on as the head of CS for the first time, my job in 12 months, take a 40% churn rate under 10. If I did that, I would get a bonus. If I did not, I would lose my job. Well, luckily I did it. And that was the first sort of indoctrination. My first day as the head of CS, this is a true story, I tell this all the time. My first day as the brand new head of CS to fix the churn problem, I come into work, I pull out my laptop, and I Googled, what is customer success exactly? I thought I knew what it was. I'd been in support my whole career. I found the conferences, I found client success, I found Dave Blake, I started reaching out, and I found my home. I then learned all about it. I built a strategy, I implemented it, and that took that 40% down to 8%. And that's what many of us are tasked with, especially if you are a player coach. And so then we realized, wow, these CSMs have a really unique perspective on how to grow those accounts. We should have them start selling. And we do all of this based on the and we can generate net new revenue from that advocacy play that I talked about earlier. Again, customer success qualified leads, 1/13 the customer acquisition cost. And what we create are what we talk about in the full OBS as collaborative selling environments. Collaborative selling environment with your customer. I want my customers to be selling for me, not because I've given them gift cards or some kind of spiff, but because I've delivered their definition of success and made their lives so much better. And then they go out and they talk about us. And so in the OBS bootcamp, we talk about how to do that. And we do all of this based on our profound understanding of the ideal customer profile, or ICP. And we help marketing refine the target of who we market to up at the top there, so that we're more efficient with our top of funnel capital spend. That means that's where exponential growth comes from. We're more efficient with the money we do spend, which, by the way, up here, about 40% of the capital your company spends goes up there in marketing. And so we make that more efficient. We keep the revenue we're given. We grow the revenue by way of the same people using more, buying more, spending more. And we generate net new revenue through the CSQLs. All of that combined is what creates outcome-based exponential growth. All right, keep in mind what customers care most about is that desired outcome in the middle of that formula. And with everything we do, we surround ourselves with that. We cannot do OBS just at the bottom of the funnel, though. If we want to sell outcomes, we've got to do it up here at the top of the funnel. And that's where partnering with sales to introduce us to the customer before there is customer becomes paramount. That's what gets us as a function, customer success, the industry, out of the bottom of the funnel. And there's different job roles out there. There's innovative leaders that are doing things like success planner roles and other things that speak directly to that. I just don't have enough time. I'm down to 8 minutes. All right. Why is OBS vital for CSMs? Well, first off, it's going to mitigate the risk by understanding and vetting what the customer's key challenges are, what their obstacles that they foresee, and the expectations that they have. We all know that feeling of completely misaligned expectations. And you get to that kickoff call, and you're there, and you're maybe going to map out what success looks like through the success plan canvas, which I'll introduce you to in a second, or some other tool. And holy smokes, does that customer have a completely misunderstood idea of how we do what we do? Well, that's because we didn't get engaged up here. We've got to do it up here so that we don't get post-sale, have to realign the expectations quite as much. There will still be some, but it'll be much, much less. All right, increased revenue retention. If we do this correctly, we will have a higher retention rate. And that's because we are exercising those 3Ds. We're defining that with them. We're delivering that, and then we're demonstrating that we've done the delivery of it. And so that will lead to renewal. If I'm getting that, I'm not leaving. Now, if I'm not getting it, that's a different story. Or if you can't prove it to me without a shadow of a doubt, that's a different story. All right, so increased retention. You'll have increased expansion revenue because through, and again, I don't have time to get into this concept of passive detection, but you've got your hunters up here, AEs, account execs. You've got your farmers living down here. That's your account managers who are tasked with growing it, and they're like actively fertilizing the crops. And what we want to do as customer success managers is apply a consultative approach. When I'm talking with my customers and I'm doing all of the 3Ds down here, I want to be asking open-ended questions so that I can uncover second and third level pain points, possible pain points that we might have solutions for. I want to be exercising active listening where I can repeat back to them and seek complete clarity to what they're actually looking for. And then I want to be exercising effective storytelling. And again, in an hour, I don't have enough time to go into it, but when we do that effectively and we're think of an old man on the beach with a metal detector. And I'm asking open-ended questions and I'm working with you down here. And then I'm listening, and I'm actively listening while passively detecting for other pain points. And when I hear one, I tell you a story about a customer just like you. And that's it, mic drop. And I wait and see if you're interested. And if you, as my customer, lean in, interesting, tell me more. How do I find out about that? Is there a product I could get a demo of? Whatever they do to show you I'm interested to learn more, then we can move into account expansion. But we do not push anything on our customer, because if we are pushing product features, functions, enhancements, check out this new cool thing we built that has nothing to do with any past conversation I've ever had with you. Now you're a salesperson and you're not my trusted advisor. As opposed to, I tell you, man, I've got this pain point, or boy, I wish I could save this time, this gain point. And you say, you know what? I had another customer just like you and they did this XYZ. And I say, oh, interesting. Tell me more about that. Now I've pulled you in to the conversation about expansion instead of pushed onto you stuff about us. It's all about you and your definition of success. So when we do this, this then leads to increased expansion revenue. It also leads to CSQLs, because as I do this over and over, and I continue to deliver better and better value to you, and I, with intention, create a collaborative selling environment, make you an advocate, generate a CSQL, that is the least expensive net new revenue your business is ever going to acquire. And then finally, equitable customer relationships. And this is what I meant earlier when I said it's about a two-way street. We need to be evaluating them while they are evaluating us, and right-sizing contracts just like we did at Jive with T-Mobile. We didn't tell them, no, we can't do that when they were up here. We did, though, say it's not designed for that. So what we need to sell you is a premium support package, so that, this is an engagement model, the level of combined effort over time, pre-sale, it's pretty low. It's a one-to-many game. Then you go into onboarding and it skyrockets because they got to learn you, you got to learn them, they got to learn the product and all the things. Then they get to live and they get their legs under them. This is optimized. And then it leads to renewal, where it goes back up because you have some kind of like some sort of procurement or negotiation, et cetera, underway. We can't all of a sudden, when we're in here, have to have our engagement be up here unless they paid us accordingly. We must right-size contracts so that we can mitigate the risk of the bad fit, squeaky customer who takes all our time. When we do that collectively, we not only deliver their definition of success, but we do it by way of their, I should say, we not only deliver their desired outcome, we do it by way of their desired experience. And most importantly, we can prove it to them. When we do this correctly, it creates that win-win relationship, equitable two-way street. And ultimately, we become a deeper trusted advisor than we would have been had we not been doing OBS. So if I'm going to pull this all together, it's going to look something like this. And again, we'll find a way to get y'all the editable PDFs. And then I've got some links and stuff to learn more. 3 Whys is the first step, outcome development. A and Q is the second step, outcome validation. Then you move into success planning, which I have no chance to get into here, but this is where we map out not only what success is, but how we're going to get them there. And then if you want to learn more about this, if you want to take a class, like I said, I've got this, but I don't think I have a chat option. It does not have one. So I'll talk to Mark about this, and we'll make sure everybody gets the editable PDF version of that. As well as Success Plan Canvas. If you go to successcoaching.co, under resources, you'll find this one for free, as well as instructions, case study, job board, and so much more. And then if you want to take the full class, go to successcoaching.co, look under training, and hit virtual boot camps. Use code OBS100 to save $100 on the June event May is already sold out. There's the website, there's the logos, and there's where to find me on LinkedIn. 20 seconds to spare. Thank you so much to Client Success for the opportunity to come and be here. I always love to talk about anything and everything CS, so please, all of you, connect with me on LinkedIn. Be well, take care, stay safe out there. I can't get to it. Be a unicorn. Thanks, Mark.
Aaron, that was awesome. And you did it with 20 seconds to spare. Well done, my friend. I'm not even going to try to recap your session. There's just so much stuff in there. Here's my ask. Everybody that listened to it, go into the chat pane, post 2 takeaways. That's how we'll do this. Because like I said, I don't want to shortchange it, and let's keep the conversation going. Yes, go to SuccessCOACHING.co that Aaron was just mentioning there. Sign up for not only this boot camp, but you guys have a ton of amazing stuff there. If there's anything that you learned today, just go to SuccessCOACHING.co. You guys will get a ton of good learnings there. So really appreciate it. Thank you for the time, Aaron. And let's move on to our next spots.